Lynn Rothschild, who was in the same session as Joya Massa. We'll just have a couple of minutes here to kind of introduce people to the exciting stuff you had to say. You were at the opposite end of the table from Joya Massa, also the opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, she's basically doing things that we've known how to do on Earth for many years, new challenges in space. Yours is a little bit more out there, synthetic biology.
Absolutely. So what I usually say is that humans have been tinkering with everything that we eat and, many things around us for literally tens and thousands of years. You probably don't have a wolf cub at home. You might have a puppy. You don't eat teosinte in the summer. You eat corn. So we've already been genetically modifying a lot of the organisms that we interact with already. But now with this new technology, synthetic biology, we can do these things in a very surgical way. So we can go in and tweak individual genes, maybe, or groups of genes to make organisms better adapted to surviving in space or to help us understand what might live in the universe.
And maybe not just better able to survive in space or someplace like Mars, maybe in a higher radiation environment, but you were talking about using biology to build things, even habitats.
Absolutely. So I'm a scientist by training and by love. And so a scientist looks out at the world and says, wow, this is an amazing, for want of a better word, creation that we have here. And I'm an evolutionary biologist, so I look at the variety of organisms and say, oh, this is amazing. How did we get here? What's the origin of life? What's the evolution of life? Could it happen elsewhere? But then when you start to get into synthetic biology, you're an engineer, and you start to look at this diversity of life and say, I wonder if I can do something with it. And of course, we've been using life as technology for thousands of years as well. We chop down trees and we build houses and we make sweaters out of cotton and all those sorts of things. We make ropes out of cotton and flax and so on. So we have used biology as technology, but what we're doing with synthetic biology is leapfrogging ahead with what we can do with biology as technology. So one example I gave today, which I just think is so incredibly cool, is a student of mine, Simon Vecchione, had this insight to take DNA, our genetic material, and add silver atoms to certain places and literally make that into a wire. So you now have a wire that's tunable, that's 1 atom thick, using DNA as the building material. Is that cool?
And you could grow a circuit.
So yes, you could literally grow a circuit. To me, that's just mind-blowing, and you wouldn't need this massive clean room, and you wouldn't have people in bunny suits and so on. You literally could do this in the proverbial test tube.
I hope we can talk again sometime. I just want to mention one more thing, which came up with Joya as well, and I stumbled over it. Some of your work is funded by NIAC, the NASA Institute for Advanced Concepts, which has always just seemed like maybe one of the coolest parts of NASA.
It is my favorite program, so that's no question about that. Because there are many people, and this is really important in engineering and certainly at NASA, who are really good at taking an idea and developing it over the many years it takes to really implement it into space, whether it's a propulsion system, entry, descent, and landing, or growing a crop. But I think we also need people like me, who I like to come up with 10 ideas before lunch every day.
That's a good goal. Thank you, Lynn. Glad you're putting those to work.
Thank you very much.
That's Lynn Rothschild from the Ames Research Center in California, of course.